Okay, is everyone on? I'm wanting to start doing some campfire stories. So I'm going to go ahead and make my screen darker, and then I can make this even more creepy. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. Now let me turn on my flashlight. Alrighty. Before we start, this story could be made up, or it could be a true story. Now let's get started. One night, I was spending the night at a friend's house. Let's call this friend Dia. And another one of my friends was there. We're gonna call her Feather. Well, it was a fun night. We were having fun, and yeah. After dinner, Lucia came into her room and asked us if we wanted to go to the cemetery. I felt hesitant. I wasn't really sure that I wanted to go, but Lucia seemed like she wanted to go, and Feather seemed like she was fine with it. So I said, okay, whatever. It is what it is. I'll go. Lucia's friend, or not friend, cousin went along with us, obviously, and so did her little sister and her friend. And once when we went outside, we started to see what kind of night it was. It was of course dark. It was already around 8 o'clock p.m. And we were walking, and we felt how cold it was. There wasn't really any wind, but it was definitely heavy coat weather. So, as we were walking, I felt less and less sure about wanting to do this. I wasn't really scared about any ghosts or monsters, but I was scared about getting caught. I thought we'd get in trouble. So, we continued, and as we walked further and further, we finally made it to the cemetery. Now, I was still scared. I followed close behind my friends. A few times, of course, my friend Feather decided to jump behind me and scare me. She also scared a few of my friend Lucia's little sister and her friends. But we had fun. I was creeped out a lot of the time, but I admit, it was fun. Once when we started to head back, me and my friends, we were ahead of everyone else. And then we decided to scare the rest of the girls there. So, we made a plan. We had Feather yell, "Oh my gosh!" and look right behind all of us. She was pointing at something. Well, nothing, but something. She acted so freaked out. But then, Lucia and we acted so freaked out. And we were like, oh my gosh, we see it too. And we started to run. We made people scream and say some pretty not nice words. But then we told them that we pranked them, and Lucia's cousin laughed. And Lucia's little sister and her friends, they were a little upset, but they also laughed. So, it was all good. When we got back to their house, we decided to go play hide and seek in the dark in their basement. Basically what that is, all the lights are turned off. Really the only light coming in is the moonlight is the moonlight from outside. Of course, there wasn't much of that. Your eyes would have to really adjust to the darkness to get used to that. The person who was it wore a mask. It was a glow-in-the-dark mask. And they would go around trying to find the people in the dark. Now, this mask made it harder to see things, but you kind of could see the moonlight. It was just especially harder with the mask. So, my friend Lucia and we decided to hide in their wine cellar. And hiding in this wine cellar, my friend Feather, she was going around trying to find people. And in the cellar, it was pretty nice. We could have the door closed and we could have our phones out, but we decided not to this time just because there was nothing really to do and our phones were about dead. So we had our phones in our pockets and it was pretty much pitch black in there. And then all of a sudden, Lucia asked me if I tapped her on the shoulder. I was like, no. I never touched you. I had my arms crossed. So I, of course, was freaked out, so was she. But we figured that it was probably just she'd probably just imagined it. And then like a minute later, I also felt a tap on my shoulder. I looked behind me. No one was, I couldn't see anyone, of course. I asked Lucia if she did that, and she said no. Now, I knew something was up at this point, but we didn't want to lose our game of hide and seek, so we stayed in there, and luckily Feather had found us not long after that, so. Then I was it next, and as I was looking in the moonlight, I saw a shadow. It was very faint, but I could see this shadow. It was moving past their pool table. I figured that I was just seeing things, but it freaked me out. I continued to find people that round. I wasn't as good at it as Feather, but I ended up finding everyone at the end. And yeah, I was all freaked out. After that game of hide and seek, I call it night, and as we were heading upstairs, Lucia's cousin told us that while I was upstairs charging the mask, because it was glow in the dark, it was solar powered, she also saw a shadow, and so did Lucia's little sister and her friends. They all saw a shadow. I was so freaked out at this time. Once we finally decided to go to bed, I couldn't sleep. I just laid there. Earlier that night, when we came back home to her house, Lucia told us that they have brought home spirits before. Whenever there's been curse words or screaming involved, spirits have come back. And all that I could think was, how many did we bring back that night? Thank you. That was my story. Now, I would like to see something. I'm not the best at telling scary stories. I don't think that was the best one, but it was based on a true story. And yeah, I'd like to know something though. Have you had any scary stories? Then go ahead and send them to me and let me know what are your scary stories. Good night, everyone.